Hello, I'm Dustin Harris with CESPN. Lots of schools are unique in their own way. Our first story is about Crater High School's business, innovation, and science. Today we get an inside look at what makes Biz so unique. First, I sat down with Biz principal Tiffany Slaughter to see exactly what makes Biz so unique. When you're starting out your career in education, was becoming principal part of your plan?
No, but I did know that I was going to be a teacher when I was in kindergarten. So I always planned on being a teacher. I had no idea I'd be a principal.
Okay. The school I know already has high state test scores, and a lot of the students here pass the test. Mm-hmm. What importance do you place on scores of tests versus overall lessons?
Test scores are one component of a student's education. So, publicly we get measured by test scores, so there's a level of importance we're forced to put on that. But in my overall philosophy of how important are test scores to education, it's just one component. So,
do you have any strategy to make test scores higher?
Strategies to make test scores higher. Well, we do a couple of things in Biz. One of those is we try to use a blended learning model in our mathematics programs. And that's just for learning in general. So we don't have anything besides our minis that are used for seniors who haven't passed the state test that is specific to the test. We try to have application and projects in all of our curriculum.
Biz has been successful from when I've come here. In your opinion, how have you made Biz successful?
Me?
Yes.
Well, I inherited a lot of great programs and a lot of great students. So as far as how I've impacted Biz, I've definitely made some changes. When I got here, we just had CSB for juniors and seniors, and that's only 1/3 of the student population. And I said, oh my gosh, we need 100% of our junior senior student population having a humanities block option that prepares them for after high school. And so after my first year here, we implemented that. And so now we have 3 blocks, and they all get kids ready for college or not college, post-secondary training things.
What plans do you have for the future for Biz?
Future for Biz. Right now, what I really want to do is take those humanities blocks and I want to add a science teacher so that now we're integrating almost all of our instruction. And then our math teams will really work on blended learning.
Biz also has a student government that is called Biz Board. They play a big role in the things that School of Biz does. They plan things out like Spirit Days. Griffin Hokinson, the president, and Margarita Durant, the Biz Board treasurer, help answer some questions. But first we go to Kristen Sullivan to explain how she plays a role in the Biz Board. Thank you for coming today, Kristen Sullivan. I know that you're part of the Biz Board and that you're the one that runs the Biz Board, but how do you do a part in the Biz Board?
So I'm the sponsor of the Biz Board, so basically the faculty representation of the students who are elected onto Biz Board, and I support their ideas. I help schedule space and time so that we can carry out our plans, and I'm also, of course, there for our many events. I write the scripts for our assemblies, and I inform our staff on what's going on with the Biz Board. So basically there is a support person for the students in Biz Board.
Okay, what is the importance of Biz Board?
So I think Biz Board is hugely important. We do so many things. We help decide how student funds will be spent. So we get a lot of things to hand out to Biz students and use some of our funding also to support other clubs and organizations. We, even when Biz needed a new principal a few years ago, the Biz Board students got to meet the different candidates and help show them around the school and give input on how they felt about the different candidates. But I think most importantly, the Biz Board is the link between the staff and the students of Biz. So Biz Board representatives ideally know a lot of people and talk to a lot of people and have kind of their attention focused on what Biz students want and what they like and don't like about the School of Biz. So we basically try to make Biz a fun place to go to school and make Biz the best it can be, and that's the role of the Biz Board.
How did you decide to create the Biz Board?
And I didn't actually create the Biz Board. I am the second Biz Board sponsor, but I was part of the School of Biz when we as a staff created the Biz Board. And so as a staff, we decided that we wanted to have input from students into what we were doing. And we tried to figure out the best way to do that. So we created a board of directors, kind of like a business would have, since we are the School of Biz. And we wrote duties for each of the positions in Biz Board and held elections, and that's how the first Biz Board was created. I helped create it, but I was not the first sponsor. Since I've become the sponsor, we've added a lot of activities that we used to not have. Biz used to not have any assemblies just for the School of Biz, but now, like I said, we have 3 every year. We used to not have Biz Spirit Days, but now we probably have about 8 every year. So as the Biz Board has aged, we have added quite a few activities, and those are based on the desires and input of students in Biz.
Thank you, Kristen. I enjoyed the time. I hope that the Biz students enjoy this. Exactly what are Spirit Days?
Spirit Days are a way for students to differentiate themselves from all the other students at Crater by showing their school spirit. For example, we have like Pink Out Days where kids can dress up in all pink and just show their spirit for the school and just I don't know.
What is it like to be on the Biz Board?
Being on Biz Board is awesome because first of all, I get to spend a lot of time with my friends that are on Biz Board, and Sullivan is the Biz Board counselor, so I get to spend a lot of time with her, and she's one of the best teachers at Crater, so that's super nice. But it's also nice because it gives me kind of a sense of authority and power. Since I'm the president, I get to make some executive decisions.
How do you guys get the money to take people on the end of the year field trip or other little prizes like the Biz Board gets?
So Biz Board gets their money mainly from the 3 dances that we have, the 3 big dances that we have each year: homecoming, winter formal, and prom. And so the money that's raised throughout the school year with those dances gets distributed amongst the 3 student governments at Crater, and that's basically how we get our money.
What other things do you guys plan for the year?
We have a lot of big events coming up. We have the Christmas Assembly in December, and then we have the Biz Board elections in January, Valentine matchups, the end of school year field trip, and a bunch of other things as well.
Back after a short break. Crater also has a DECA team that is available to all the schools, but most of the students are in Biz. DECA is very similar to FFA, but is more focused in business. Mike Rogan, who is in charge of the club, explains a little more about DECA. What does DECA do?
So DECA is a business club, and kids compete in a variety of business activities. Role plays, test taking, business plans. Some of it's one-on-one, some of it can be two students together with another judge. And it's all around basic business concepts of marketing.
How much does DECA do that FFA doesn't have to offer? Because I know that they're very similar in things and with what they do.
Similar in that they're structured as a student leadership organization, so they both provide leadership opportunities for kids. FFA really is an ag-based club, where ours is more business, and where FFA also does a lot of business things because it's all about business. Ours are more specific to business.
I know that there's a store that actually is down below us right now that you guys run. What is that money that they get used for?
Okay, so kids that work in the store, I'm not allowed to pay anyone cash. So we use money, they roughly make about $6 a shift that then can be used for them to travel to leadership conferences. For instance, we just went to Washington for a leadership conference in Seattle. They can use it for clothing. We have a lot of different DECA gear. There's dues for every member that's in DECA if they compete beyond a just school level. So any of those things kids can use that money for.
What is it like to run something like this for you personally?
To me, I'm from the restaurant business. So to me, this is the most real world club that we have on campus. I mean, I think FFA is as well, but I'm not an ag-based person. So to me, the scenarios are realistic. The business plans that kids are doing are ones that can be used in the business arena. So everything that kids are doing are real. And to me, that's what makes it good.
Okay, thank you. Biz has added some new classes this year. One of them is gaining in popularity and is expected to grow by the end of the year. But first we go and talk to some kids in speech and debate. What is it like in speech and debate?
Speech and debate I found is really fun. I've noticed that my team and I have gotten really close through bonding.
How are the teams chosen and set up?
Typically they're set up with people picking their own partner. It's typically for debate. Sometimes though, if there's an odd person out, Sullivan will put the teams together. But typically people choose their own teams.
When will there be any at Crater?
As of this time, there's no set events set for Crater because it is our first year. So hopefully maybe next year we will have events here.
The CESPN program offers the opportunity to gain experience in a field not offered at a higher education level at this time. Learning the equipment, TriCaster, and the software show control provided from Daktronics gives the Biz students real-life experience at the high school level. How well do you say the students have done running the scoreboard with the short amount of time that they had before when the scoreboard was being built and the training and stuff? I mean, I know they had a couple weeks to train.
I think that it was amazing. Nobody knew anything going into what we were trying to do with the scoreboard and what the equipment would be and how we would run it, including Mr. Hurd, including Daktronics, all those guys. And our kids just took it on. And initially I was going to take a much greater role of being the producer or making the calls. And once we were out there and I saw how great kids are at just taking the ball and running with it, we just let them go. And it's a learning thing. We learned every game that we did. We learned every practice that we did, and it was incredible what the students were able to do.
How was the scoreboard paid for exactly?
So my understanding is Mr. Hurd raised advertising support for the entire scoreboard. My understanding also is that it was around $200,000+. And I know he sold ad spaces. He got some foundation grants. So none of it came from our school's budget, but everything goes towards our school community, which is really cool.
What is the plan for the rest of the year since football season is over?
We're going to take the skills that we learned there and what we've seen up at U of O, and we're going to actually bridge into the gym. We won't be able to use the same equipment, but we'll be able to use the same ideas from a film standpoint. We're going to have kids practice being anchors and speaking. We're going to create our own newsroom, so there's a lot of big plans of where we're going to go next.
Are you planning on making the system bigger by adding more cameras or other equipment as well?
I know that we're going to be doing not the cable wired cameras. We're looking at wireless. We're looking at a whole iPad. That's a Padcaster type of community that we're going to be running in the class. I could see us bringing in some more mobile type activities so kids can use anything so we can capture footage of stuff.
Okay, thank you. We've shown you today, Crater's Biz offers many project-based learning opportunities to enhance your future. It also offers music, band, and art to appeal to the creative side of every student. The staff and leaders at Biz pride themselves in being approachable with an open-door policy, leaving all students to feel welcome to communicate their individual needs. I know why I chose Biz. With CESPN, I'm Dustin Harris. That's the news, and I'm out of here.